A really interesting article came out a couple days ago. I'm a little bit late on this, but Joe Rogan signed a $100 million deal with Spotify, leaving YouTube, the platform, and going on to Spotify. This is a huge deal because Joe Rogan, number one podcast in America, has been for many years. Really, really interesting guy. Has on super interesting guests. But it's a huge $100 million deal to Spotify, and I've been hearing from different people that it's upwards maybe of 200 million. And what's really interesting is the first day that he actually had gone and it had been announced that he was going to Spotify, Spotify stock or like their overall grew by $5 billion, like their net worth value $5 billion, and stock went up like ridiculously, like 40-50 bucks in the first day, and they literally probably made back what they had invested in Joe Rogan in the first day of him officially being a part of Spotify. And I think it's by the end of the year that he joins, like August or September, his whole catalog for like the last like 10 or 11 years goes to Spotify exclusively. And it's really interesting because he does on YouTube, and he has his full length thing, and also Apple Play and different things like that. But what's really interesting to me is Spotify is actually creating a entire video thing just for Joe Rogan, so you can watch the Joe Rogan experience on Spotify. And this is a huge deal for like the landscape of online media, because more people are watching online because it's a like long form, and like TV really isn't giving them the news they want, and they want to hear people's discussion, because usually on TV you're hearing like a 2 or 3 minute clip. But when you can hear an hour or two, like Joe Rogan's experience is usually 3 hours long, you really get to understand people and really get their point of view. And you get like a true representation of who they are. And Joe Rogan, what he does best, he's so honest with his guests. He's so trustworthy too. He's asks very probing questions. And he's very educated on what everything pretty much in the world. He kind of knows a little bit of everything, which makes it really unique. And people really trust Joe because Joe just comes off extremely honest and trustworthy. So this is a really, really big deal. Spotify was able to sign Joe Rogan to a $100 million deal. I've been hearing it's upwards of $200 to $300 million, because also too, this is big because YouTube's been really getting in trouble for what their censorship is dealing, and he's been getting demonetized on YouTube. So this is also another move why I think he's moving to Spotify, because of demonetization. Because even if you cuss or say one cuss word or say something that's controversial, YouTube can demonetize you. You can lose a lot of ad money. So for him moving to Spotify, I think this is really a big wake up for YouTube, saying that if the number one content creator in the world, who has the number one podcast in the world, is going to move to Spotify, that they really got to try to help their creators out. Because Spotify is really trying to make inroads in the game. They've been buying up a lot of media companies and a lot of podcasts, and it's been really interesting because I think it's really going to be an interesting type of thing, because Google owns YouTube, and for that it's really, really interesting because YouTube is really going to be at a civil war with Spotify for the years to come, and YouTube has really not really catered to their creators as much as they probably should. And with this, they're really gonna have to try to find a way of helping their creators out and not demonetizing people's content just because they find it offensive or they label it as inappropriate. So that's a really, really big thing. Joe Rogan moving to Spotify, good for him. Really, really proud. He's a really, really good guy, and he really gives great material to the public, and people really, really trust him because he's very honest, trustworthy, and also has very interesting guests on that really provide insight and knowledge. And it's a whole new world out there in streaming, because Spotify's coming for YouTube, and they better look out, because Spotify is literally giving him pretty much carte blanche. You can say whatever you want to say, and we won't censorship you at all. And also the whole catalog's going there, so it's a big deal. I'm pretty sure still the JRE clips will still be played on YouTube, but for the most part, his whole 3-hour show daily will be going to Spotify, exclusively with Spotify. And it's a licensing deal too, which is really unique, because so he's able to control what the content of the show is. It's just a licensing deal. I don't know how many years, but good for Joe Rogan. It really changes the game for all creators. It puts YouTube on notice, making sure that they don't demonetize people and try to offer more support for creators like Spotify is doing. And this is a whole different type of world, but it's really interesting to look out for the coming years. Who else moves on to Spotify? How does YouTube change their policies? Because this is a whole new online world. People are more watching YouTube and online content more than TV than ever before, and it really has pushed and moved the social conscience, and people are really influenced by what's on the internet these days, and Joe Rogan's kind of leading that charge. So I hope you have a great day. That's another report, and enjoy the rest of your day.